Hello world of YouTube and welcome to the first official test episode of Drunk Anime Reviews, where I talk about animes while a little intoxicated. Had a couple shots, drinking some wine. We're going to talk about the second season to the show that inspired this show segment, Castlevania. It dropped last weekend and I finally got a chance to digest it and all that sort of stuff. If you missed me talking about Season 1 of Castlevania, it's linked in the description. But to sum it up, I liked it, thought it was a little too short, felt like it could have used a little more fleshing out, and I felt afraid this season was going to be just a lot of nothing without much, there's not much story left to flesh out. But boy, was I fucking wrong, and I'm glad I was wrong. I really enjoyed this second season of the show. I like that right out of the gate, they addressed one of the issues I brought up in my review, and that's that they spent some time with Alucard's mother, Dracula's wife. I like that they gave her more character, they gave her a fleshed out agenda. She wasn't just a MacGuffin, she wasn't just a plot device. I also like that Alucard, Dracula, had a lot more screen time this season, and they showed his power in a lot better ways in this season. There's a scene where he is reflecting on his days of vanquishing humans for fun, and it's fucking brutal. A lot of the brutality that was in the first season is present here, in spades, but I'll get to the violence in a minute. The story, I like the story because I like that they not only flesh out Trevor more by bringing you to the Belmont house that he grew up in, they give Sephia a little more fleshing out by giving her a place to use her mind. And obviously they flesh out Alucard a lot because he was just introduced in the last episode of the first season. I also really like that they introduced 3 characters from a game that I wasn't even thinking about when discussing the anime last year. Isaac, Hector from Curse of Darkness, which is one of my favorite Castlevania games, and it does take place in this time frame, and Carmilla from Castlevania 2, Circle of the Moon. She's a handful of games, and again, is a big part of Dracula's life, so I'm glad they introduced them. I'm not even missing the monk guy, Grant. I'm not even upset that they didn't bring Grant into this, because I like that they spend equal time fleshing out each of the characters that had little screen time in the first season. I like that I love Dracula's presence in this season. I think that they give him such really good pieces. You know, I like that Isaac and Hector have screen time. You get a good dose of their backstory and their motives, and it sets them up for more screen time in future seasons. I like that they became a staple to the show, and I'm excited to see where the dynamic fleshes out. I was really pleased with this, and I liked what things they added and improved upon from the first season, story-wise, thematically. I love the story of this more than I did the first season. I'm glad it's more fleshed out than it could have been, given Season 1 felt like part 1 of a bigger piece in like a really small way. The exposition is still in hefty doses, I feel like, but it's not overbearing like it was in the first season, because they spread it out amongst the groups of people they want to flesh out in groups together. They don't do everyone at once. They do a little bit of this guy, do the story, a little bit of this guy, they do the story. And the story is really interesting. You know, it presents questions that would come up given Dracula's plan. And I like how logical the story is with it's being told. You know, the introduction of Godbrand, I think that his character brings a good dynamic to the cast, as does Carmilla. I think that the writing in this it's got its still kind of tongue-in-cheekness, it's got its still kind of brashness that was present in the first season, and I like Trevor and Alucard's dynamic, along with just how the speeches and everything are written, because they're trying to be really edgy and mature and whatever. If it means that they can be gory, that's fine with me, because again, I like the presence of that in this, and I think it enhances the macabre nature of the show even more. And that's the strongest part of the anime. This season, what I think the weakest part is some of the animation gets a little bit of a downgrade. I'm out of wine. My biggest complaint with the season lies in the animation isn't as consistent. It's still great in the action scenes, and there's that scene with Dracula where he's talking about his days, reflecting on killing people for sport. The scene where Isaac is talking about his past, or is reflecting on his past, when Godbrand is storming villages. The scene in episode 7 with Alucard, Trevor, and Trevor, Alucard, and Sephia. That scene is fucking great. The fucking fight between Alucard and Dracula, it's so goddamn good and really shows Dracula's power. Anytime there's action going on, it's really cool. But I feel like there's moments when there is an action going on, that the animation lacks a little bit. It seems a little stiffer than it was during the action scenes. There's actually a scene in the last episode in particular that looked like it was like Aqua Teen levels of like cheaply put together. And like, I think the animation Aqua Teen's charming in that, but it's not for like a big budget anime. Like, that's not okay. It's just a little more inconsistent than it was in the first season. At least I feel like. I may be wrong. I will say one of the better animated segments that isn't action-oriented is earlier on in the season when Alucard's drawing in the sand. I liked his monologue, and the animation coincided really well with that, as did the scene where Sephia was moving the castle. It's not only good in the action segments. It's just not as consistent when there's not action going on. But I don't know. But overall, I think this is a great step up in a lot of ways. I feel like if they tightened up the animation a little more, it would look less inconsistent. But outside of that, it's great. I think the voice acting is still really good. Like I said, I like the chemistry between a lot of the characters. I love that Dracula had a lot of screen time. I'm intrigued to see where they go next season, given how this season ends. I don't want to talk plot spoilers, but I like how the season ends, and I like what it could present. I like the directions it can go in. There's a lot of different places it can go. I think this is good. If you liked the first season of Castlevania, or if you like Castlevania in general, you'll probably like this season more than the first season, because I certainly did. I also like, I don't know, I like the nods to the franchise they gave in a lot of the dialogue and lore. There's the scene when they first get to Trevor's house where they're talking about the Belmont name, and it's really cool. I like the nods to Castlevania that they give to the lore. I like that these guys did their research when writing the script. It's a good show. It's good. It's not like top tier favorite anime, but it's serviceable, and I feel like Castlevania fans are gonna be happy with this. So that's my take on it. What are your thoughts on the Castlevania anime? Do you have any opinions? Any non-opinions? Let me know if you like this show, because I want to do more of it. I have, over the last, 4 years, gotten back into anime, and I wouldn't mind talking about it while intoxicated. It's fun to do. But I'm going to go. Hopefully you enjoyed this. I've been Viralrak. You guys are good at situations, and I'll see you another day.